Hello, good day everyone. Welcome to Simple Codes with Aziz. In this tutorial, I'll be walking us through the Bootstrap Grid system. So with this Bootstrap Grid system, you'll be able to arrange your elements in a very proper way and it is very easy to know. So now let's get started with work. So now I've already downloaded the document, like the files that I'll be needing. So I'll be needing the bootstrapping.css. I'll be needing the font awesome, then jQuery and the bootstrapping.js. So these are the four files that I'll be working with for jQuery to actually work. So now what I'll be doing here right now is that I'm going to be introducing you guys to the Bootstrap Grid system. So now let's get to work. Bootstrap Grid system, it will take a whole role as a 12 column grid. For example, let me just open my MS Word so that you can actually understand what I'm saying. So let me open a blank document. Now, this is how Bootstrap work. So let me just insert a table. I want a 12 column. So this is how Bootstrap work. So this table that I've just created now, it has 12 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now with Bootstrap will assume that a row that you want to create will have 12 columns. So with Bootstrap, you can still decide, okay, out of this 12 column, I only want to be using 2 out of the 12. I want to use 5 out of the 12. So that is just a way of arranging elements in Bootstrap. So now let's just get started with the code. So the first thing that I'll be doing is to create a div with the class of container fluid. So this container fluid will create a little form of padding on my web page. So that's why I'm creating a container fluid class inside my body. So the next thing that I'll be doing right now is that I want to create a row, div class row. So this div class of row now, it will now contain several columns. By default now, as I've not specified anything, Bootstrap assume that that row contain 12 columns. So now, for example, let's say out of the 12 columns that this row now have, let's say I want to use 4. I will now say div, I'll create another div tag, div class, then colon lg 4. So what I'm practically saying here is that Bootstrap, I want to create a colon. This LG means the large screen size. Then I want to use 4 colon. I want this div that I'm creating here, I want it to expand to span 4 columns. So that's just what it means basically. So now let me refresh my page. As you can see, nothing is happening on my page. So what will now happen is that let me just try and style it a bit. So style, border, let's say 2 pixels, solid red. So if I refresh it now, you can see that this div that I'm creating here now is only expanding 1/3 of the page. if you use your height to measure it, you can say 1. So let me just create another div. Let me just create another div inside here. Let me just create another one. Let me put this as green and another one here. Let me tag it as blue. You can see that everything is 444. So if I actually now refresh, you can see that it is assuming the same length of 444. So now let me now say this is let me use this as 2. Let me use this as 6 so that you can see what will now happen if I refresh. You can see now that the let me zoom out. Let me just you can see that this red line is a bit shorter now, and this green is now expanding 6 column, and this blue line is now expanding 4 column. So that is a way of arranging elements in Bootstrap. So now for this to actually now make sense, so now let me give it a little bit of height. Let me give every one of them height. Let's say 50 pixel. Let me just copy and paste everything like this. So you can see now, this is 2, this is 6, and this is 4. Everything is residing inside this column. Let me just paste it out so that you can see. Everything is residing inside this column. So now another thing that I want to do now is that let me now create another row, div dot row. So let me create columns inside my row. So I'll just be like div dot colon lg. This time I want to create 4 4 4. So let me now style it a bit. Style border 2 pixels solid yellow. Then I want the height to be 50 pixel too. So now let me copy it and paste it like 3. Now this time around I want like 4. So yellow, let me use pink. Let me use cyan, and let me use purple. Purple. So if I come here now, you can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the reason why the purple color is floated to the next line is because it has exceeded the 12 column grid. See, the one that has yellow is 4, the one that has pink is 4, the one that has cyan too is 4, making 12 like that. So now, this plus this 4, it is 16. And 16 will not be able to accommodate it, so it was wrapped to the next line. So now what I can actually do is to reduce it to 333 and see what is going to happen. You can now see that the page has now, like, the second row is now on the same line. All the columns are on the same line now. So now, let's say you have a page that you want to position some certain item very well. Okay, let me just let it make a little bit more sense. let it have a little bit of sense. So let me say 50%. Let's see. Okay, no. Let me increase it to like 500 pixel. Let's see what will happen. Not 500 is too much. Let me just make it like 300. 300 pixel. Sounds nice. So 300. This one to 300. So that it will look like an actual web page. So that's just what I'm trying to achieve right now. So you can see now. So let's say your content now, you want to place it here on this red. You want to place it here. This long one here, you don't actually need it. You don't need it. So, but this, you want to place content on the first one here and the third one here. So this is what you do. So inside that div, let's say you want to place a form tag inside. So you just create a form. So you create a first name. So let me just break it. So I'll be needing an input tag, then break it, and I'm going to be needing a submit tag. Submit button, submit. So let me now come here and refresh. You can see that this content that I'm trying to make, this form is only appearing inside this red box. You can see it's only appearing inside this red box. So now let me create another. You can see this is the red box, border 2 pixel solid red, and it ended here. So the second element, I'm going to be leaving this one because I don't want any item inside it. So the third one here, I want to be creating an h3 tag. This is the third column on row 1. So if I refresh it now, you can see that there is actually nothing appearing on this second row. There is nothing appearing on the second column here. So another thing that I can do with this second row is that let's say I want to add pictures. I want to create a picture grid. So let's say now I'll just come inside the div. I'll just create an image tag, image source. So I have some images here. So let's say Jameson 1, Jameson 2, Kitchen 1, and Kitchen 2. So those are the pictures that I want to use. So I just come here. Let's say Jameson 1, JPG. So I want this one too. So I have image Jameson 2, JPG. So this third one, I want it to have image. So Kitchen 1, JPG. And this one too, I want to create an image tag inside. So I'll be like Kitchen 2, JPG. So let's refresh. Let me come back here and refresh. We can see that it's actually expanded more than what we actually want. So we need to control the images, but trust me, the contents are still inside the boxes, but just a bit expanded. So this is what will now happen. So I am going to be, what's it called? I'm going to be controlling the width and the height of those images. So this is what I will now do. I'm going to be styling it, style. So I want the width to be 100%. Then I want the height shouldn't be more than let's say 300 pixels. So let's see what will happen to the first one here. So we can see that this one has actually been controlled. Width of 100% that I used here, I just want it to be to expand to the maximum of that column. So let me now copy it. Let me copy this style to all the images. So this, and this. Let's see if this will actually work. We can see that it is actually working. So you can see that there are some spaces around them. So they are just padding. They are padding properties. So, but once we remove the coloring of the border, it is going to actually make sense. So let me now, since we have already been able to what's it called? Since we have already been able to arrange our elements properly, so I guess it's right time for us to remove the borders. So I intentionally put the borders there before so that we can actually see what is going on physically. So let me remove the border. Let me remove borders from our work. So I'm going to be removing the borders. I'm going to be removing the borders for these two. So by the time we remove the borders, we are going to see that everything will now be looking a bit more professional. You can see that everything is now well positioned in the place that we want it. So it is your web page. You are the one that is designing. You are the one in charge. So you with Bootstrap Grid system, you can actually place your elements in the place that you want them to be. So now, this is just a basic of Bootstrap Grid system. Let's say we want to build something like this that will look more colorful. So now, let's get to work. Let's get to work. Let's say we want to practicalize this web page now. So let me now clean up whatever we have already done here. Let me clean everything up. So it, it's just remain the body and everything is gone now. So the first thing that I want to create is is the first row here. So if you are working with Bootstrap, let me just add this. If you are working with Bootstrap, you should take everything that you are seeing on a web page as a row. For example, this thing here, the bars, the Jumia, the logo, these two, they are all row. Everything here is on a single row. Everything here is on a single row. This is a row. This is a row. And this one that you are seeing here is a row. The awoof of the month, appliances, and up to 80% of phone and tablets. All these things, all the pictures that you are seeing here, they are row. So flash sales, this red place here is also a row. So now let's get to work. Let's create the first row. The first row here. So I'm going to be creating a div. of container fluid. So I'm going to be creating another div for our row. So this row now, so I'm going to be creating this icon first. So this icon belongs to the font awesome library. So I've already imported font awesome here. So if you don't have it imported already, you can import font awesome. So I'm going to be creating a span. I'm going to be creating a span with a class of fast far bars. This is how to get the icons in font awesome icon. So you just say FAS, then FA, then the name of that icon. So if I come here now, you can see that it is actually appearing on my page. So now I'm going to be creating this Jumia text. Let me just do it this way. Let me create an H4. Let me create an H4. I'm going to be, okay, let me create this to be large, LG bars. So it's a bit bigger now. So let me cut this one now. You can see that everything I'm still doing is inside this row, is inside that row. So this, then just for it to be a bit bigger. So now I want to write Jumia. Let's see what is going to happen now. You can see. So what's next? So the next thing is this logo here, the logo. So I'm going to be using the image tag to create that. So I have this here, icon.png. So I'm going to be typing icon.png. Then I want to control the width and height. Let's say 50 height. So it should be 50. Let's refresh and see what is going on. We can see that it's looking nice. So now I don't like how everything is around the edge here. So what I'll just do is I'm going to be using margin. So MR5 margin right. So it has created a margin of right of 5 here. So ML5. So with Bootstrap, there are classes like MR, ML. So just to create margin. So the digit that is here, well, let's say 5 now. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on the length that you want. So for example, for in my own case now, let me just look at our model that we are trying to do here. So let's say like 3 or 4 should be enough. So I'm just going to be using 4 here and 4 here. So that the space can be a little bit more compressed. I think it's okay now. So what other icons do we need? We need these two. If you check this page very well, you can see that these two are at the other edge, at the right side. So this is what I will now do. This is what I will do. I'm going to be separating this into columns. This row, I want to separate it into columns. So the first column now, I want column LG. Let's just take this as let's take this as 3. So let's take the other one too as 3. So colon LG3. So I'm going to be copying this and pasting it inside my first colon. Then if I come here and refresh, you can see everything is still there. So why don't we just put border so that we can see what is going on? Star border 2 pixel solid red, so that we can see what is going on. We can see that all the thing that is happening on this colon is no more than 3. So now let me now create another second colon, div dot colon lg lg. Let me use 6 this time. Let me use 6 this time around. Then let me style it. Okay, background color. I want to use border. So border 2 pixels solid black. So we can see it like this. Then the remaining, I've used 3 here. 3 plus 6, this is 9, which means that I still have like 3 extra here to make the whole row 12. So I want to leave this place blank. I want to leave it blank so that I can use this for these 2 icons here. So this is now what I will now do. I'm going to be creating another div for class colon lg3. So I'm going to be styling it border 2 pixels solid blue. So I'm going to refresh. You can see that we now have a full row here. I want to keep this place. I don't want to put anything there. So I want to use this blue box here. So this is now what I will now do. Inside this blue box, I'm going to, you can see that this is the row here. This is the row. Let me just put this down. So this is the row here. Row. You can see the starting and the end of this row. This is the column, first column. This is the second column, and this is the third column. So inside this third column, I want to create the icons. So I'm just going to be creating a span class of fast far user. That's the name of that icon. So, and I want it to be big. Let me create the small one first so that I can see. You can see that it's actually small like this. So if I use a FALG, so it's a bit more bigger now. It's a bit more bigger. So I'm going to be creating another one beside it. I'm going to be creating another one beside it. Instead of user this case, let me use cards. Oh, there's nothing like cards. So let's just use search in its place. Let's just, because those are the two that I actually remember. But I don't like as they are actually very close to each other now. So this is now what I would do. This is what I would do. You can actually separate them inside columns too. You can actually separate them inside column. For example, now instead of the colon having 3, you can separate it like, okay, I want to use 1 for this. Let me just copy it like this so that it will make more sense. So instead of having the 2 here, I'll just remove it like this so that it will make more sense. You can see now. So, and the last one here, I don't think we need it for anything. So we can actually leave it like that. Or probably if we don't want it like this, we can we can add one to the central one here. So the black box. So let's just add one to it. One, making 7. So if we count our column now, we have 3 here, we have 7, 10, making 10, 1 here, 11, and 1 here, making 12. So if I refresh it now, you can see that everything is now on a single row. So now it's time to remove the borders after we are done with our first row. So I will remove the border now. Now the last border too. So that if we refresh our page, you can see now that they are actually displaying very well. But there is something that I actually want to do to these two icons here. I think they are a bit more glued to the top. So this is what I would do. Let me just style it a bit. So I'm just going to be using margin to just, okay, margin top, let's say like 5 pixel, so that it can drop down a bit. You can see, okay, let me use 10. Let me use 10. Margin top 10 pixel. You can see that this one is a bit more better unlike the second one. So margin top to drop it down a bit. So you can see now that everything is now making sense. So what I normally do is that I'm going to be collapsing the space there so that it will make more sense, so that the code will be a bit more neater. So that the code will be neat. So now this is our first row. Everything here created this first row. So the next thing to do here is to create our second row, which contain this search box here. So now, what do we do? As usual, we just need to create a div with a class of row. That's the first thing to create. So now, inside this row, you can see that this search box contained the whole row. So this is now what we'll do. I'm going to be using div.colon lg12. I'm going to be using the whole 12. So the next thing that I'll be doing here now is that I'm going to be creating a form. Then inside this form, so I'm going to be creating a div with the class of form group. So then input type text, class is form control. I think it has hyphen. So let me refresh. You can see everything now is showing on one page. So this is how you create the row with Bootstrap. So the second row is like this. Where is it? The second row is like this. So let's come here. We can see that there is a simple bit of icon here. There's an icon here. Then there's a placeholder, search products, brands, and category. So let me create a placeholder. Search here. Search product, brand, and category. Search products, brands, and categories. So if I come here and refresh, we can see that the text is actually appearing there. So now it remains to actually add the search icon. Where is it? The search icon here. So this is what we'll be creating next. So now to actually add that, so this is what we'll be doing. So just need to come here. So div, I'm going to be creating like input group class input group. So you're going to be prepending it, prepending, put group prepend, then div dot input group text. So I'm going to be creating the text. So I'm going to be creating a span here, span class, fast far search. So going to be coming here and refresh my page. Oh, they are not appearing on the same line. So how do we now fix that? So let's find a way to fix that. So um so let me just change to this to input group. Come in. Let's see if this will work. Input group. Yeah. So Bootstrap actually have uh, like if you want to group inputs, so this input group. So if you want to add something uh before the inputs, the original input, which is the text here, so we can actually prepend it then. So we had the icon. So this is actually a way that you can do it. So if you want it to be a bit more bigger, so FALG. So this is a way to do it. So with this now, we've actually done the second row, but the one here is a bit more curved. So we can achieve that with border radius. So let me just come here and create a style. I'll say border radius, let's say 50 pixel. So I'm going to be coming here and refresh. So we can see that it's a bit more curved now. So, but it's not affecting the search. So let me cut this and put it on the input group. So I'm going to be coming here, but we can still leave it like that. We can still leave it like that. So since it's already achieving what we want, but we can still leave it this way. So the next thing is to create the third row here. So with this we have created the second row. So now the third row now. So I'm just going to be coming here to create the third row. Then this is there's only one item on this row. So I'm going to be creating 12 div dot colon lg12. So inside this 12, I want to create, let's say like H4. So call to order. So call to order. So then there is a phone number there. So now let's refresh. Let's come here to refresh. We can see that it is actually appearing. But now, this is what I want. Okay, color should be there. Color green. So I'll just say text. So there's a way that you use to add color too in Bootstrap. So we can say text success. If I say text success now, you can see it has turned to color green, but it is white text then with a green background. So instead of text success, I'll just say BG success. So BG success. So I'm going to be needing white text. Text white. Then I want to center the text to text center. So let's see. I think now it has done what we want. But if you check very well, this second row and the third row, they are actually gluing a bit. There's a bit of glue, like there's no space there, unlike what we have here. So this is what we'll do. So we just need a bit of CSS to do that. So I'll just come here and say style, and I'll say, okay, let's say margin, let's say 10 pixel auto, margin 10 pixel auto. I think the space is now there. If we check very well, I think it has generated a bit of space. So let's say, let me use like 20 so that it can look more obvious. Let me use 20. So I guess it's more better now. It is more better now. So, and I want to create space inside too. So let's just say like I will need padding. So I will need padding. Let's say like 10 pixel too. No. That's not where I should have put padding. So it's going to be on this text style padding. Let's like 10 pixel. And let's see. So now this is what we want. Padding generated space inside the text. So I think it's looking more nice now. It is looking more nice. So now the next thing is to create the fourth row. We've created row 1, we've created row 2, we've created row 3. So it remains this fourth row. So, and as we can see, some of the content here has been cut away. So I'm going to be replacing it with a 3 by 3 row. So let's just say, and this background color, I don't like how it is white like this. So let me just use another shade of white. So this body, I'm going to be styling it, style. So I'm going to be changing the background color to like ghost white. So if I come here and refresh, you can see like it's a bit more nicer now. So I'm going to be creating the fourth row. This is row 1. This is row 2. This is row 3. And now to row 4. Div.row. So now I want to create 3 by 3. 3, 3, 3. I want to create 3 by, I want to create 3 boxes here. So, and how do I achieve that? I can achieve that by creating like 4 column so that the 12 grid will be complete. So now let me use style border 2 pixels solid black, red, green. So now the next thing I'm going to be doing now is that um I'm going to be putting content inside. So on this our model, so there are pictures that are there. So I'm going to be importing pictures, image, So source, let's say kitchen one, just as we have done earlier. So kitchen two. So what other image can I put? Clearance two. So let me just use okay. Let me use phones one. Let me use phones one. Image phones one. So if I actually come here to refresh, we can see that they are actually there now, but they are not positioning well. So I'm going to be adjusting that with width and height. So I'm going to be coming here. I'm saying width, take 100%. Then the height should not be more than 300 pixel. 300 pixel. So going to be copying this. So let me just remove this. Let me just remove these borders since they have actually done what they should do. So let me come here and refresh. Let me come here and refresh. Oh, I did not place them on the images. My bad. So I'm going to be creating it here. So we can see now that the images too, they are actually looking more nicer now. They are looking more nicer. So this is now a 3 by 3. We can see the spaces that are there, like, so it's making more sense, just like what we have here now. It's the same thing. It is the same thing as what we have here. So now, what do we do again? If we check this image very well, we can see that it has a bit of like a white background for this row here. So now let's try to achieve that. Let's try to achieve that. So this row, if I style it now, background color, if I use green so that it will look obvious, you can see. Now, with this green, I want, if we check here now, we can see that there are spaces inside around that row. So this is now what I will now do. So if I say padding 10 pixel, if we check here now, we can see that it has also created the spaces for us too. So if I use 20 pixel, so, and here we are. This is what we want. So let me now change the color to white. Let me change the color to white. So although it might not show because the background of this our websites is ghost white. So, and using white here might not make it appear to be looking like, it won't really show very well, but we have actually achieved that. So now to the last row. Yeah. No, I guess we are not on the last row. So this is the fourth row. This is the fifth row. So we are going to be creating this roof of the month row. Then this is like a 4 by 4. This is a 4 by 4 row. So this is now what we'll do. I'm going to be creating another row. I'm going to be creating another row. Then I'm going to be creating columns. I'm going to be creating 4 columns. So it will now be 3, 3, 3, 3. So I want 3, 3, 3, 3 here. So now, here we go. I'm going to be adding pictures inside. So let me just copy this. Let me copy this. I'm pasting it. So let me select the pictures to use. I'm going to be using this, and this. Awoof and clearance. Okay. I'm going to be using awoof. Awoof 1. Awoof 2. Clearance 1. Clearance 2. So if I come to refresh this page now, we can see that they are now there. They are there. So they are there now. So now this is actually what I want to do now. I guess we should just reduce the height to like 150 so that let me just reduce it to like 150. 150. So if I refresh it now, okay, I did not do the last one here. Okay, this is 1,500, right? Sorry about that. So now we have this. We have this now. So these are actually replacing this ports 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This fifth row. So now, if we check where there are texts here, there are actually texts here. So how do we achieve that? So we're going to be coming back to our code. So this is what we'll do. If I should actually create another another 12 inside this row, let's just see if this will work. This is actually a woof. Let me just type it there manually. A woof. This is clearance and appliance up to 80% off. Appliance up to 80% off. And this is phones and tablets. Phones and tablets. So let's see how it's going to display before we know how we are going to tackle it. So we can see that they are actually displaying very nice. They are looking nice. So, but I would appreciate if it is a bit more centered. So now how do we now achieve that? How do we achieve that? So inside this column now, let me then just place text center. If this will work, yeah, it's worked. So this text center, it means that inside this column, I want any text that is there, I want it to be center. So I'm going to be adding the text center here to text center here too, and text center here too, so that at the end of the day, everything will now be centered. So you can actually see as we are creating it bit by bit. So this is how to create a professional website. You take things step by step. So now, if I check this very well, you can see that there's a bit of more space. There's a bit of space between this fifth and this sixth row. So now let's try and achieve that. So I'm going to be doing that with style. So I'm going to be saying margin, let's say 20 pixel auto. we can see that the spaces are now there. So I'm going to be adding the background color. Let me just give it a random background color so that it will look different from this one. So let me try that white that I've used before so that let's try that white. Let's try that white. So let's try that white. Let's try that white. If hey, yeah, you can if you check well now, you can see that it is actually there. It is there. If I zoom very well, you can see that it is actually there. So instead of this being white, let's just try to find a very more cool color. But I'm not a fan of coloring, but let me just put green. Let me use green. This green is not looking nice. It's not looking nice. It's not looking nice. So it's not looking nice. Or let me just leave it that way. Let me just leave it that way. Then color, I'm going to be changing it to white. Color white. So we can see that they are actually coming out very well. But instead of using these different shades of green, let me go and use Bootstrap for it. So VG success, and I will remove this. You can see now they now have the same color. They have the same set of colors. So this is actually how to do things. This is actually how to do things. So let's say I want this one to be more bigger now. Let's say I'm just putting them inside H4. So let's see if everything is going to look good. Let's see. You can see. So H4. So H4. Then this one to inside H4. So now let's come here to refresh. So it's looking more better. It's looking more better. So it now remains the last row here. So this flash sales, this flash sales. So this is what we want to do now. So with this, we just create another row, div.row. So this row is going to be taking BG of danger. So if I come here now, BG danger, this actually. So how do we now set this up? How do we set this? So this is what we'll do. This is what we'll do. So this row, I'm going to be taking it as, let's say this image here, this icon here, let's say these are, let's like 2, let's say this one is like 8, and let's say this one is like 2. So now let's create the columns. So I'm going to div dot colon lg2. So let me use borders. Style, borders, border, 2 pixel, solid, red. No, let me use another color, black. So this one, let's say this is blue and this is violet. So now let's refresh. we can see them here. They are here already. So this is now what I want to do. I want this to be 8. So if you check the tip of the page here, you can see them. Or probably let me just create a bit of margin at the bottom of the body. So this body now, I'm just going to be saying margin bottom. So let's say 200 pixel so that it will generate a bit of space at the bottom. So this is 2, this is 8, and this is 2, making 12. So now this is now what we are going to be doing here. So inside this first one, I'm going to be putting this logo. I don't have this, but we can actually use this to replace it here. So I'm going to be using icon.jpg. So image icon. So I'm going to be using width of 100 pixel. So height 100. So I'm going to be coming here to refresh it. We can see that we have the icon here. So the second one here, what do we have? Inside the second one here, what do we have? We have flash sales. We can see that one is at the top while the other one is at the bottom. So let's just try to perform something very, very cool. This is this now. So this space now, do you know that you can actually create a row inside another row? Like you can actually have rows inside columns, another set of rows. So the only thing is just that it is going to take this as the parent. So now let's just try and achieve that. So I'm going to be creating another div of row. I'm going to be creating another row. So now the first one is going to be 12 div.colon lg 12. So I'm going to be putting, let's say like h5. Let's call it flash sales. So if I come here and refresh, you can see flash sales is there. So this row now, I created 12 first. So let me create another row. Time left. Let me just save this first before we actually type down. You can see it is appearing underneath it. So everything depends on what you actually want to achieve. Inside a column that you already have, you can still create a row inside to fit into what you actually want to do. So it depends on what you want to achieve. So let me just call this time left. Time left 21 hours, 20 minutes, 8 seconds. 21 hours, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 08 seconds. So if I come here, and refresh now, you can see that everything is now good. So I might want to change the text color, text white. So you can see. So instead of like H5, let me try and use like H3. Let me use H3. You can see now that it is making more sense. So I'm use H3. And this last one here, what is there? C all. C all. So I'm going to be coming here and using I'm going to be creating, let's say, like H4. I'm typing C all. C all. So, and the color is white. So I'm going to be creating a class with text white. So that's all. So now let me remove the borders. Let me remove the borders. So it is very, very easy. It is easy. It depends on whatever you want to do. It depends on what you want to do and what you want to achieve. So Bootstrap is not hard. It depends on how you want to structure your page. So whatever you want to structure, you can model it using Bootstrap. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I hope that you have been able to gain a lot inside this video. Thank you. Bye for now.